Welcome to Vital Healing. I'm Keith Rowe, and this is a place where we slow down, take a breath, and remember what it feels like to come home. This week begins something new. It's a series about a stretch of the journey that rarely gets talked about. The one that comes after a deep practice cracks life open and everything familiar starts to give way. It's about the small, ordinary comforts that carried me through that season and how coming back is slower and gentler work than we're usually told. So settle in and let's step into it together. By teaspoons. The other morning, I was on the bicycle, Letty out ahead of me, when a great blue heron came up off of the water, maybe about 10 feet from where I was. If you've been reading here for a while, you know the herons and I have history. They keep me company along these waters, and they usually announce themselves early, jumping up and complaining long before anything gets close. But this one stayed. Letty had already passed him. He held his spot, maybe even in his discomfort, until I was nearly on him. And I was on higher ground, so when he finally rose, he rose to meet my eyes. And for a moment, he did, and we looked at each other. And then he lifted off in what felt like slow motion, and he crossed the field, circled back, and flew over me again, higher this time, and speaking with every flap. I didn't go looking for that moment. It found me. And that's how most of the important things have arrived in my life over the last few years. And it landed in the middle of something that I've been trying to find words for a long time. A few years ago, breath work opened me up. That's what the practice does, and it does it honestly. It softens what we've kept braced, and it brings up what we've pushed down. For me, it started a fire that I didn't see coming. The life I had built, the roles I had played, the person that I'd been for decades, and all of it began to burn. And there was no new life forming yet to step into, just the space between, ash on one side and nothing visible on the other. Nothing had prepared me for that season, and I couldn't make sense of it while I was in it because everything was still moving. What I remember most was how numb I stayed, not by accident. I think some part of me understood that if I turned and looked at everything at once, the whole burn, the whole loss, I wouldn't have been able to keep standing. So I kept moving. I powered through, and I kept the blinders on. Not because I was avoiding my life, but because seeing all of it in one look would have been too much for almost anyone. And some of that pushing even looked like growth. Another practice, another training, more work on myself. It took me a long time to see that you can use work itself as a way to keep running, always reaching for the next thing instead of letting the last one land. And into that numbness, small things started finding me. A hot soak with Epsom salt and a few drops of oil, qigong in the morning, slow movement, nothing fancy, a little tenderness for a body that had been braced for years. I couldn't have told you at the time whether the bath was presence or escape. Honestly, I still can't entirely. I think it was both, in the same water and in the same hour. What I can tell you is what each one actually was underneath. A small dose of feeling. A test. Can I feel this much and not come apart? And I could. You feel a little and you don't die. I'm being a little facetious when I say it that way, but I'm also being extremely real. Every time I let a little beauty in, a little warmth, a little comfort, and survived it, something in me grew back. Not all at once, by teaspoons. That's how a person comes back from the ashes, not by facing everything all at once, but by teaspoons. Somewhere in those years, I learned the things nobody tells you. The practices that open us up need practices that hold us. The breathwork world talks beautifully about transformation. It says much less about what happens after, when the old life is smoke and the new one hasn't arrived. And you're standing in between wondering what just happened to you. It can be a lonely stretch. It was for me. I've been writing in this space for almost a year now, and this piece begins something new, a series about the practices that held me, the ordinary ones, walking with beads moving through my fingers, breath you can carry into a hard conversation, water and salt, slow movement, small anchors, one at a time, and each one told in the way it actually happened, why it found me and what it did, and how you might begin. And if you're standing in your own in-between right now, the old life burning and the new one not yet visible, this series is for you. The comments are open, and I mean that as more than a feature. Tell me what's holding you. Ram Dass said, we're all just walking each other home, and that's all I'm doing here. I keep thinking about that heron, how the others lift off early, complaining the whole way, long before anything gets close, and how this one stayed, even when it got uncomfortable, until we were eye to eye. And how, when it was finally time, he didn't just leave. He rose, circled back, and spoke. Something in us knows how to do that too. Wherever you are on your path right now, may something small and kind find you this week. And if something here spoke to you, you can find the written version of this piece, along with all my work, on the Vital Healing Substack, and you can find the video version on YouTube. The links are waiting for you in the show notes. Thank you for joining me on this vital healing journey as we find our way back to ourselves and back to each other.